have I done that? Yes, great. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for publishing this pamphlet, this awesome little pamphlet. And thank you for organising such a great, like, various evening of different poets and different poetries. Yeah, Love Island. It's a long sequence of like micro poems, and the text is drawn directly from dialogue spoken by the contestants on the show. So it's more of an act of curation, really. You know, yeah, it's found poetry. In order to try and help justify the project to myself and maybe to you guys as well, I put an epigraph at the start of the pamphlet, which is from William Wordsworth, from the start of Lyrical Ballads. Now, now I can see that, by the way, I should say, I can see that Otter is going. I wanted to actually say before I start, if you are willing to, or if you're able to, click on my face and experience it through me telling you the poems instead of, they're so short that they're very easy to read ahead. And I think probably the effect will be better if you just experience them as I tell you to them, if that's possible. Anyway, so yes, let's get back to my fancy epigraph. Wordsworth: my purpose was to adopt the very language of men. I mean, you can leave the men part, but the language part it just feels very pertinent to this project. So posy. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to read you a sort of abridged version of the pamphlet. But before I do that, I want to read you this abridged version, not of what Wordsworth wrote in his preface, the famous preface in the second edition. I want to read you an abridged version of the advertisement that he wrote that went out with the first edition. So this is before he actually, you know, really refined all his thoughts and you know, put them all in. This is much more appealing to the reader who might, you know, have his doubts, which is what the other one does as well. But there's something really, really beautiful about this and about the phrasing, and I hope you'll indulge me. I think it doesn't get read out very often anymore, and I just thought this would be the perfect opportunity to just share it, because for me, this, you know, Love Island project, but like what this does, it just asks some really interesting questions about what poetry is, and what poetry should be, and what poetry could be. Okay, I'll start with this then. 1798, by the way, this was written in. It's crazy. It is the honourable characteristic of poetry that its materials are to be found in every subject which can interest the human mind, including Love Island. The majority of the following poems are to be considered as experiments. They were written chiefly with a view to ascertain how far the language of conversation in the middle and lower classes of society is adapted to the purposes of poetic pleasure. Readers accustomed to the gaudiness and inane phraseology of many modern writers, if they persist in reading this book to its conclusion, will perhaps frequently have to struggle with feelings of strangeness and awkwardness. They will look round for poetry and will be induced to inquire by what species of courtesy these attempts can be permitted to assume that title. It is desirable that such readers should ask themselves if the book contains a natural delineation of human passions, human characters, and human incidents. And if the answer be favourable to the author's wishes, that they should consent to be pleased in spite of that most dreadful enemy to our pleasures, our own pre-established codes of decision. Readers of superior judgment may disapprove of the style in which many of these pieces are executed. It must be expected that many lines and phrases will not exactly suit their taste. It will perhaps appear to them that, wishing to avoid the prevalent fault of the day, the author has sometimes descended too low, and that many of his expressions are too familiar and not of sufficient dignity. It goes on, but that's, yeah, isn't it just brilliant? I feel like we need to remind ourselves of these really basic fundamental arguments more frequently. Anyway, make up your own minds. I am the table. I want someone I can just be myself around. I want someone who will literally tear me a new arsehole. I like a bold pubic region. I like a big, like a gym, like a big gym goer. He's so funny, like not quick-witted, but so funny. A lot of people spend a lot of time overthinking things, but she doesn't do that. Missionary, that's boring. It's like eating a cracker without butter. Ugh, cats. We may or may not have snogged on the terrace. It was an accident. You shouldn't need to do the orgasm all on your own. It should be a joint effort. I'm not going to lie, this tastes really fucking weird. What more do you want from a day? You stink, but you got a kiss. I walked into a lion's den and ruffled some feathers. I'm learning. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to talk to girls. I thought I was going like a tortoise, but they're making me look like a snail's pace. Traps are everywhere. Traps, 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 traps. You'll always be the tallest in my eyes. How much have you got to learn? How many mistakes have you got to make? Honestly, in this place, you have to be brave, you have to be bold, you have to take risks. It's just little things. I want a cuddle, a kiss, just having a laugh, having a chat about how long has that tree been there for? Just general stuff. I am a bad person and can't keep doing this. I am mature enough to understand everything that's going on here. We were in the same situation. We acted differently. I'm having deep thoughts here, and you guys are laughing. Maybe I'm not good enough for him. I need to stop worrying about the future that hasn't happened yet and just be here in the present with you now. All I've ever done is give people advice and opinions. I don't want to be the one again to let myself ruin something good for myself. I never think about future me. Actually, I sabotage her every day just by being a knob. You know, when you're on a roller coaster and it does that drop, it's like that. It's not nice. This is the first time in life I've not been able to run, and it's scary. I know you keep saying, remember, we're on a TV show, but what makes it good is being yourself. I know what I bring to the table. I am the fucking table with the fruit on. It's about time people said things, how they're really feeling. I feel like this garlic bread almost represents me. He says he loves me, but he doesn't. Those are just words. It's not what he does. I don't think he's a bad person. He just wasn't in love with me. That's okay. Thank you very much for listening, and thanks again to Aaron and Broken Sleep for taking it.